Composer Enno Poppe, we are now in Helsinki, it's February, and there are heaps of snow outside, it's cold and dark and wet and everything. And in 3 months' time, you will be back to hear the Helsinki Philharmonic play your new piece that they have commissioned. I know this is a touchy question to give any composer who is working on a piece, but do you know anything, and what do you know about the piece you are writing, and what can you reveal at this stage?
This piece will be extremely microtonal, and so I work for a long time with subdividing the half tone on the piano in more and more little steps. And this piece I go farther than any time before for orchestra players, and that means I have tons of very strange chords. And I think the piece is really dealing with chords, with harmonies. The harmonies, maybe they sound a bit wrong or right. Suddenly in the beginning you don't really know what it is, because it's really a completely new conception of how to invent chords and harmonies, and how these microtonal chords are related to each other, and what happens with the orchestra just when it's lost, So there is kind of, the fundament of feeling normal, what is normal and what is right and what is wrong, and you need, and it's the same for the public. And what happens when the system changes, and the rightness and wrongness, and that is really interesting for me to create this piece.
So there's kind of a feeling of loss of a compass, to hear that and play that.
I think what is really important in this piece is the amount of notes in the chords. You know that in a normal we talk about 3 tones in a chord. What is a major chord is 3 tones. But I have with an orchestra, there's so many players, I have really very big, it's 25, 30 pitches in a chord, and that's completely different. So that's no clusters, so like what is sometimes in polyphonic contemporary music, but it's really chords. And the finding of the chords is super interesting, and I think that has a real, very special expression, because of the chords themselves build the colors. And there's a very, very interesting relationship between intonation of microtones and the colors of the instruments, because the instrument color changes completely just by intonation, and the intonation inflicts the colors, and the other way around, the colors inflict the intonation. So that means in using these microtonal chords, I can invent completely new orchestra colors. Although I don't have no playing techniques, I have only normal playing, but the playing is it's just the colors come from the chords.
Sounds like you have had a lot of fun working on this.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, many composers are very nervous before they hear the piece played for the first time, especially if it's for a large orchestra that you can't simulate on any machine. How is it with you?
That's not a good question at the moment, because I'm just at the moment I try to finish it, and I have really lots of things to do, so I try to be not nervous. So the nervosity at the moment is just to finish the piece in time, what is hard enough. Normally, I don't know the orchestra here in Helsinki, but normally I am a person who trusts in musicians. I work a lot with musicians, that I'm conductor too. I have just in my life, mostly I had good experiences with musicians. So if there is time, and if there are people who trust me, I trust them, and we find things that are interesting. So that is what I hope. And I don't know, I'm not this kind of nervous type.
Okay. I'm interested in the way you name your works. They are solid German nouns, mostly, like torf, in Finnish turve, filz, huopa, Welt, maailma, Salz, brot, leipä, and so on. What kind of meaning or role has the naming of your pieces in the working process? Do they come first, or are they the tool with which you guide and conduct the process?
That's different. So sometimes the title is in the beginning, sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes it's at the end. I don't know. Some just the title appears in a way to the piece, and sure, the title is not so important as you could think, because if I gave the piece another title, the piece would not change, but just how you hear it would change. So the title is kind of just to help, or leading, or misleading, or a kind of cheating, don't want whatever. Don't know. So I really don't like explaining titles, but what I like if people explaining me my titles, because I know that people have kind of associations to words. So if I have a piece called Brot, they think about something what that could mean, and I really like to collect what people think what it means.
Yeah.
You know what is good in music? Yeah? That music has not this relationship to meaning. You know, that this is different. So if I call a piece Symphony number 6, it's the same. So that doesn't mean anything. And sure, a title means something, but the meaning of music is not that this is this and this means that.
Yeah, maybe if you named your piece a symphony, then it would only tell about your wish to be part of the great tradition, or something.
Sure, exactly.
It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
What sort of things you need, material and immaterial things, to if you work on a piece, to work fruitfully and in peace and effectively?
Time. The most important is that I just know there is time, and I am free, and I have not, it's not possible when I'm conducting in the evening when in the hotel, I can't compose. It's just I need free space. In fact, there are many ideas all the time. So when I'm walking around, or I don't know, wherever I am, the musical ideas could appear to me. That's not the problem, but it's good just to find the concentration, to be really clear that this comes out. In fact, at that point, I don't need any piano, or I don't need something to read a book, or to look for something what inspires me, because the inspiration normally comes from music, or it comes from music I heard before, or it comes from some questions which follow me for years. Sometimes ideas are old, I have forgotten, and they come back, or there are new ideas. I don't know. Sometimes it's just not clear where the ideas come from, and that's normally the best ideas where I don't know where they come from. For sure, for the microtonal stuff, I need a computer, because my inner ear is not so bad, but at a point sometimes it's really hard to just, the former times composers sat at the piano and they can check out the chords, and with microtonal chords I need something, an instrument makes me able to just check the chords and to simulate things.
As you are a conductor also, what is the role of the conductor in giving life to a new piece? Because he or she is the one who sort of has a very big influence on changing the form of the piece. Like it's written, when you finish it, it's complete as a score and notated, and then the conductor, if it's a orchestral work, comes and he or she makes the magic of bringing it into sonic object.
Sure, for me it's not only a conductor, but all the musicians. I like writing music for people I know and like. So that's much easier to think about. I write a piece for violin, I write a violin concerto, and I know the violin player, so the way she's moving or whatever. The same with Susanna Merkel. I know her for a long time, and she did many pieces of mine. So I'm really, I know she knows my music very well. So that makes it much easier to just, even if I don't really think about what will she do with my piece, I think she will do something with my piece. For sure, something will happen. And I really like that about being a composer, that you are not alone, that I don't play my music myself and I just have people, and the pieces come out at the point when there are people who play it, who work on it. And I think what is best of being a composer is if different people play your piece, because people bring things to your piece you never have thought about. It's impossible to just that I know all the possibilities what are in a piece. I think that's a misunderstanding. Sometimes musicians or public things, a composer can imagine everything in advance. But in fact, the most interesting is what I can't imagine in advance. Because, for example, the musicians do something what I didn't expect. Because there are things in the score I didn't think about, and another musician does something completely else. What doesn't mean that I don't care about it. I think it's very important that people do something, and that is just super interesting.
So do you get these experiences that you hear a new person or new people play your piece and you're like, oh, this is what it was all about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. Or that is, yeah, it's like, that in former music and music of the tradition, it's normal. It's completely clear that you can play a Beethoven piece like this, or like this. And the musicians are, they do an interpretation, but it's the same with my music. And I can't imagine what makes the interpretation. So sure, not all the interpretations are good. I haven't, there are some things where don't work, but there are lots of things I just couldn't think about.
Yeah. Okay, we are looking so much forward to hearing your piece in May. Have a great time with it and see you then.
Yeah.
Thank you for this interview.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure.